That snuff was nasty, because when you think about it, where there's snuff, somewhere around was a spit can. And when there's a spit can in the house, you can darn well bet I was the one who had to either go get it for Grandma or throw it out when it was full. She'd take that snuff and pour it right behind her bottom lip. Come to think about it, a lot of the old women dipped snuff back then. There was Miss Chapel, there was Miss Dillsworth, she was about 90 years old, and Miss Dora dipped snuff too. They all did it. It's just a bit odd now that I think about it. Now, just how they got into such a habit was beyond me. What's really strange about this whole thing is that all of these women lived long after their husbands died. Not to say that snuff had anything to do with it. About every other week or so, Grandma would hand me a dime and say, "Timmy, go around to the store and bring me back a can of snuff. Garrett snuff, in the white can," she'd say. I'd look at her with this stupid expression on my face. Then I'd roll my eyes when she wasn't looking. I didn't much like buying snuff because I was too embarrassed to ask for it. It wasn't like I could just walk in and grab a box of snuff because everything at Russell's store was behind the counter. Russell's was the neighborhood store by day and nightclub hangout on weekend nights. It was a little 2-room shack with a tiny barn kitchen, but to us in our neighborhood, it was all we needed. They had a pretty handy setup because the store was only about 6 feet from their house, so most of the time when a group of us would come walking up, they could usually spot us as we passed by their front door. There we could buy soda pop, a hamburger, hot links, potato chips, candy, you name it. The entire family ran the store. We'd knock on that raggedy old wooden screen door to see if anybody'd let us in sometimes. But sometimes there was just no answer, and occasionally someone would peek their head out the front door and yell, "We ain't open yet." Back then, customer service was of little or no concern at Russell's store. Anyway, I'd walk around the corner to Russell's. In reality, it was just across the alley, so every now and then we'd cut through Mr. Russell's backyard. He didn't like that, and neither did his dogs. Usually, we'd be greeted with something like, "What do you want? Hurry up. I ain't got all day." But every so often, we'd find somebody who was actually in a good mood. One day, I remember meeting a guitar player who came from out of town to play at Mr. Russell's club for the weekend. In Russell's store, there were a couple of cafe booths, a jukebox. The way I remember it, Mr. Russell introduced me to him that day. The cat was sitting in the booth, tuning the guitar. Mr. Russell knew that I was trying to learn to play guitar as well. It was in the middle of the afternoon. I don't remember his name, but this guy took the time to explain a blues scale to me and taught me how to play the bass line of an old blues song called "Cleo's Back." I'll never forget it.